This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today. What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for July 20th, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Monday edition of the podcast, back in the home studio, which means vacations are done for the year. Always a sad, sad week, as anybody who works in education knows. This is the oh crap part of the summer where you're like, how is it July 20th already? But we will enjoy what we have left. But let's get into it and rewind the weekend like we do every Monday. Brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Check out their wide selection of Philly sports-based apparel. Always coming out with some new stuff, so they got you covered there. And then use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. And let's start with the Phils. Not a good weekend. Not a good weekend at all. Won one game 6-1, lost another game 6-1, but more importantly, they lost that series against the Mutts. Never good. It's a shame because as good as they looked on Saturday, that's as bad as they looked yesterday. Luzardo was outstanding Saturday. Rangel, not so much. And the fifth pitching spot is an issue for this team. And I will say they don't do the fifth pitcher many favors, having, 6 hits yesterday and only being able to score 1 run. So they're certainly not doing any favors, but they'd be running away with the division right now if it wasn't for that fifth spot. It's just so bad no matter who they put there. And I don't know. Is it McFarland? Is it Gage Wood? They need bullpen help too. I know for the postseason it doesn't matter, but it's not a guarantee. We'll see. Because you're putting too much pressure on the other 4 starters to be perfect if you're going to have the fifth spot be that black hole. And we know Nola is capable of blowing up at any time, although he's been pitching well. They're not giving him run support. So between Nola and the fifth spot, they're not helping them out. We'll see. Big series this week versus the Dodgers. Christopher Sanchez on the mound tonight. Got to take 2 of 3. They're 3 games behind the Braves. They're 3 games up on the Cardinals for the second wild card spot. Only a game and a half behind the Cubs. So you got to win this series, especially the position you put yourself in. Losing 2 of 3 to the stinking Mets, man. Yikes. But we'll see what happens. Some Flyers news. Jamie Drysdale, as we all thought, did agree to a 4-year, $26 million contract extension. And I like it. I mean, you got the core of this team now. Let them grow together, these young guys. And you positioned yourself now with some good draft picks coming up, or first-round draft picks coming up anyway. You still have that Toronto draft pick, I think, next year kind of hanging out there. So you're in a good spot and then make a move next year. But looking forward to seeing what this team can do. Then no news on the LeBron James front. I don't know. I just wanted to come to a conclusion one way or the other. I've made it perfectly clear. I'm not going to repeat myself about basketball versus circus. But I do think it has the potential to be similar to sort of what Pete Rose did when he came here. Moses Malone, Jamie Moyer, guys like Chris Long, guys who had solid careers come in at the tail end of those their careers and make a difference. Is LeBron that guy? It could be. At this point, I mean, Friday he was talking about trusting the process. He was talking with Michael Rubin, not Michael Rubin, Josh Harris over the weekend at Fanatics Fest. What's going to happen? Where is he going to sign? Nobody knows. But I have a strange suspicion that it will be today or tomorrow he makes the announcement, possibly tomorrow, because you got the World Cup being over, give a day to sort of process Spain winning, and then it's all about LeBron. But I don't know. Also, I saw this the other night. We were watching, I forget, Friends and Neighbors. We were watching Friends and Neighbors. My wife fell asleep, so I was flipping through the channels. Did you know, which I didn't, that Philly has an ultimate Frisbee team, the Philadelphia Phoenix? I didn't know. They were playing, they weren't very good, but they were playing down in D.C. and got destroyed by the D.C. team. But yeah, professional ultimate Frisbee. And it seems like I looked it up, they've been around for a year. So the Philadelphia Phoenix. So any ultimate Frisbee guys out there or gals, you probably knew this. I didn't. So you learn something new every day. The Union are back in action this week. Wednesday, they take on the Red Bulls down at Subaru Park. Got a familiar face coming back to join them. Kai Wagner is back after going over to Europe. Apparently, his family missed Philly, missed being in the United States, and he made the decision to come back. They worked out a deal. Much needed reinforcements for them. So it's almost like you're able to start fresh. I know they dug themselves into a hole, but hey, why not? Let's go. All right, what happened this weekend in Philly sports history? Let's start on July 18th. And this is a cool story. First, 1922, 11-year-old Bob Cotter caught a foul ball at a Phillies game at the Baker Bowl. He kept the ball and kind of ran. Usually, up until that point, when the ball went into the stands, the fans would throw it back. Well, Cotter was arrested, sent to jail as an 11-year-old. But then the judge heard the case, freed him, saying he was following his most natural instincts. And the Phillies changed their policy. They allowed the fans then to keep the balls that were hit into the stands. They were the first major league team to do that. And of course, now everybody keeps them unless it's an opposing team home run, which then it gets thrown back on the field. But that happened on July 18th, 1922. Bob Cotter completely changing the rules of the game. And then in 1927, the A's lose to the Tigers 5-3. Ty Cobb hit a double off his former teammate. It was his 4,000th career hit, first player in Major League history to go over 4,000 hits, and he did it while playing for the A's. And then fast forward all the way then to 1983, Phillies, who were in first place at the time but widely considered to be underachieving, fired manager Pat Corrales, replaced him with general manager Paul Owens, who would guide them the rest of the way to the National League pennant before being destroyed in the World Series by the Orioles. And then July 19th, first we'll go back to 1960. Future Hall of Famer Juan Marichal of the Giants made his Major League debut against the Phillies, tossing a one-hit shutout. So he's off and rolling for the future Hall of Famer. And then 6 years later, Phils lose to the Astros 8-2 at the Astrodome. It was the first game in Major League history played on a field made of complete AstroTurf. Prior to that, only parts of the field, or AstroTurf was only used on parts of the field, but the infield and outfield was made of AstroTurf for this game in 1966. And then in 1977, Major League Baseball All-Star Game at Yankee Stadium. Greg Luzinski started in left field and hit a 2-run homer in the first inning to get the ball rolling as the National League beat the American League 7-5. 2005, Ryan Howard hits his first career walk-off homer. And in 2022, Bryce Harper becomes the first National League player voted in to start the game as designated hitter. Unfortunately, he would miss the game due to injury. And that's Rewind the Weekend, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com for all of your Philly sports apparel needs. Best shirts in the city. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. And then Friday's trivia question. Bob Gibson, Mickey Lolich, Dave McNally, Ken Holtzman, and Joe Blanton are the only home runs since or pitchers since 1960 to hit home runs in a major league game. Ironically enough, Gibson and Lolich did it in 1968 in the same World Series. Some quick housekeeping notes. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Philly Jimbo as well. Kyle and I are back. A new Brotherly Birds breakdown will drop this week. We're going to record on Thursday, and then we're going to be on a set schedule now as we're gearing up. Hard to believe we're gearing up for training camp, which kicks off next week. So what the schedule is going to look like is we will do every other week until the first preseason games, and then we're full-fledged every week through hopefully the Super Bowl. So best way to stay in the loop is to subscribe to the YouTube channel at Philly Jimbo. Working on figuring out how to show some of the things from the speaking engagement I was at for the All-Star game. So stay tuned for that as well. And of course, I tell you all the time at the beginning of the show, we are proud members of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. All of the podcasts I do are under the umbrella. If you want an easy place and want to catch up, there is a Twitch stream now, 24/7, just on a loop. This podcast, the Clashing Conferences podcast, the Philly Hall, once we get the Brotherly Birds breakdown into there, pretty cool. So go check out the Clashing Conferences on Twitch as well. Whether you're coaching Little League, crushing your fantasy league, or just rolling up to a bachelor party like a Philly legend, Lotwin Custom Hype Chains bring the energy. Fully customizable, totally unforgettable, and guaranteed to turn you into the MVP of the moment. Great for teams, groomsmen, or anyone who wants to show off with some serious swagger. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD, and get 10% off your own custom hype chain. Lotwin, let's get hyped together. All right, let's go to July 20th and first go back to 1912. Phillies beat the Cubs on this day 14-2 in Chicago. 2 of their 14 runs came on steals of home, both of them by Sherry McGee, who became the first and only player in Phillies history to do that in one game. We talked a lot about Sherry McGee the past few weeks, from punching umpires to stealing 4 bases in a game. But Sherry McGee steals home twice in a game for the Phillies against the Cubs. And fast forward to 1958, it was the final round of the PGA champion at Lanark Country. Get it right, not county. Lanark Country Club in Havertown. Sam Snead led at 3 under. Billy Casper was 2 under, and Dow Fisterwald was 1 under heading into the final round. They were the only players at the time under par. Fisterwald would shoot 3 under on that final round. Sam Snead would shoot 3 over as Fisterwald wins the PGA Championship, his first and only major title as a professional golfer. But this took place at Lanark Country Club in Delco, the final round of the PGA Championship on this day in 1958. And that leads us directly into today's trivia question. What other Philly area courses have hosted PGA Major Championships? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Hit me up on any of the social media at Philly Jimbo, as well as the Discord channel, which that link is in the description. But what other Philly courses have hosted the PGA Major Champion, or hosted a PGA Major Championship? And then from there, we go to 1969. Phillies lose both games of a doubleheader to the Cubs at Connie Mack Stadium, 1-0 and 6-1. But as part of the nightcap, or during the nightcap, in the top of the 3rd inning, play is stopped as the crowd is informed that Neil Armstrong sent a message to Mission Control stating the Eagle has landed, meaning we had landed on the moon. So it was a pretty cool moment. They stopped the game, made the announcement. They played a rendition of Kate Smith's God Bless America, said a prayer for the astronauts before play resumed. Pretty cool when major events like that take place, not only just during a sporting game, but in Philly. And they acknowledge it and stop the game. I was at the game. I've talked about it on this podcast before, when we got Osama bin Laden That was a pretty cool moment during that Phillies-Mets game. But on this day, 1969, they stopped play to make the announcement that we had landed on the moon, played God Bless America, and then said a little prayer. So pretty cool moment. Unfortunately, the Phillies would lose both games of that doubleheader. And then finally, in 2009, Phillies beat the Cubs 10-1 at Citizens Bank Park. Ryan Howard, Carlos Ruiz, and Raul Ibanez each homered. For Raul Ibanez, it was his 25th of the season. It came on a 3-run blast in the first inning, but it was also his 207th career home run, moving him past Pete Incaviglia for the most home runs by a player whose last name starts with I. Who keeps track of this stuff? But pretty cool. Raul Ibanez still is the leader for players whose last name begins with the I. The only other player on that list with a Phillies tie is Ryan Howard, who is tied with Frank Howard for the most home runs with a player whose last name begins with H. I always thought Mike Schmidt was on this list, but then Sammy Sosa did pass him, so that is why Mike's not on the list. But that happened on this day in 2009. And then finally, our tournament matchup for today, brought to you by BeachCaddy.app. If you're in Stone Harbor, Wildwood, Avalon, Ocean City, or Sea Isle, Beach Caddy will take the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. They'll move your stuff in. They'll move it in, pack it in your car at the end of the weekend. One of the most stressful parts of any vacation is moving in and then moving out. Beach Caddy takes care of it for you, and then they have the best beach carts on the Jersey Shore. Glide over the sand, so they got you covered there. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery. Take 10% off your move-in, move-out service, as well as your beach cart rental if you're one of those 5 towns. But BeachCaddy.app takes the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. All right, no real surprises here on Friday. Moving on in the Suburban Region was Kobe Bryant with 73% of the vote. The Coatesville contingent was out. Some of them felt icky for voting for Kobe, but it was the right move to vote for Kobe. So Kobe moves on. Rip Hamilton had a good run, but is eliminated once again by Kobe Bryant. Today we got another doozy of a matchup. We go to the Southwest Regional for a 2-3 matchup. Tom Gola versus Dajuan Wagner. Let's start with Tom Gola, who went to LaSalle College High School, scored over 2,200 points while there, won a Catholic League championship. He was 2-time All-Catholic League. Over 60 colleges were looking at him during this recruiting process. He won the Mark Ward Award as the top Catholic League player, decided to stay home and went to LaSalle. And from there, it was just all uphill or downhill, I guess you could say, for Gola. He was a 3-time All-American, led the Explorers to 2 Final Fours, including a championship in 1954, where he was the most outstanding player of the tournament. He was the National Player of the Year and still is the all-time leading rebounder in NCAA history. He was the first NCAA player with 2,000 points and 2,000 rebounds. He's in the Big Five Hall of Fame. He was a territorial pick of the Warriors, where in the NBA, he won a championship, was a 5-time All-Star. His number 15 is retired by LaSalle. He's in the basketball and the college basketball halls of fame, taking on Dajuan Wagner from Camden High, graduated as New Jersey's leading scorer with over 3,400 points, including 100 points in one game. He was a McDonald's All-American, Parade first and second team All-American, averaged 42.5 points his junior and senior years. He was the Group 3 state champion in Jersey, also won the New Jersey Tournament of Champions. He was National Player of the Year. 1 year down at Memphis, where he won the NIT and was the MVP of that tournament, led him to be the number 6 pick in the NBA draft. Injuries bad luck, I should say, more so than anything. Lost half of his colon, only spent 4 years in the NBA, 1 year over in Poland, but certainly made up for it with his play in high school. His dad, of course, is Milt Wagner, a legend. His son is Dajuan Wagner Jr., on the way right now of making a name for himself. So the Wagner family is well known in South Jersey. But now it's your turn. Who moves on? Dajuan Wagner or Tom Gola? Very, very two contrasting styles, but two great players. Get your vote in any way you can. Any social media at Philly Jimbo, 267-495-8531. That's a Back to the Future voice and text line. But who moves on, Tom Gola or Dajuan Wagner? On this day in 2009, Raul Ibanez becomes the all-time leading home run leader for players whose last name begins with an I. On this day in 1969, Phillies lose both games of a doubleheader to the Cubs, but they stopped the game in a pretty cool moment when Neil Armstrong had relayed back to Mission Control that the Eagle had landed on the moon. So a pretty cool moment where real life interjects with sports. And then in 1958, final round of the PGA Championship at Lanark Country Club, Dow Fisterwald overcomes a 2-shot deficit to chase down Sam Snead and win his first ever major championship. And in 1912, Sherry McGee steals home plate twice in a Phillies 14-2 win over the Cubs. We will be back tomorrow to recap the Phillies-Dodgers Game 1. Maybe we'll have some LeBron James news. Maybe we won't. Who knows? But we will. One thing I can tell you is we will have some Tuesday motivation / positivity, so stay tuned for that. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for July 20th, 2026. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Monday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.